Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Tuesday, January 11th, 2021. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Frankie. You are number one. I hope everyone is enjoying their day wherever they are around the globe. Okay, so I am going to get started. Okay, so today I want to talk about that's just how they are. And what I mean by that is, why do we say that about people? Welcome, Petty Deb. You are number two. Why do we say that about people? Why do we say that's just how they are? Is this so? My first question is this a valid excuse to allow people to be rude? Is this a pass to allow people to have their own way? I mean, why do we say that? And I know that I, for one, have said that to people when, welcome Shannon and welcome Bahram. I, for one, have said, that's just how you are. When people are doing certain things or they're saying certain things, whatever. And if I'm in an argument with someone, I will say, well, you know what? That's just how you are. But when I say it like that, I'm not giving you a pass. I'm literally saying, if you've done something rude or something, that's not nice, or even if you've done something, that's very nice, for someone, I'll say, that's just how you are. But for a lot, but for most of the time, I find that when people say that's just how they are, it's because someone has done something that was not right. And I don't know if they want to use it to defend someone, um, or if they want to, use it to, um, you know, just say something like, "Well, this person has done is, they've been this way forever. You know, we should just accept it. That's just how they are." Welcome, Trying Cat. So, so again, I have two questions to this. Is it a valid reason to allow people to be rude? And is this a pass to allow someone to have their own way? So, yes, Bahram, I am well. Thank you. So, I'm going to open it up if anybody wants to come on. And Shannon, I see you are here first. So, you have the mic, and I will send some invites out. If you want to accept, you can. If not, it's totally okay. All right, Miss Shannon, welcome. You have the mic.
Hi, Salad. Um,
Hello.
um, well, you know me, the little Irish bull that I am. I'm more of a person who you can do what you want to me, but when you get my friends, I get real protective. But still, as a standard, I think people need to be put in their place when they're rude. I mean, yeah, that is, some people are just that way because they're unhappy with themselves, but until it's almost like a balance of power. It's like, okay, I'm challenging. That's what this rude person is wanting to do. So you have to fight them. I don't even say with kindness, but you fight them with what's the word I'm looking? Being an adult and being calm. That you can annihilate somebody verbally without, cussing or with your intelligence. So I do believe they need to be called out and they need to be taken off their pedestal because they're just going to keep on coming if you don't.
So, okay, so if someone keeps coming at you like that, and then I said, Shannon, don't even bother. That's just how they are. Do you accept that?
Well, some, yes. And you've taught me a lot, especially with my own podcast. I have learned to calm down about the trolls and not let it get to me. Um, it depends upon the individual and how rude they actually are. Because there is a point to where, it's just too far.
Okay, so do you think that when people do that, it's a pass, that they're giving someone a pass, to continue to behave in the way they are, or just, it's a pass to allow someone to have their own way? And I say that, and I'm going to use this as an example. It's a little bit on the extreme side, but I did want to cover this. So most people, I hope, know who Helen Keller is. And when her family hired a teacher for her, Anne Sullivan. This was back in the 1800s. Helen Keller, she was both blind and she was mute. And the family, I mean, she pretty much behaved like a wild animal. She ran around the house screeching, whatever. She at dinner she would eat off of everyone's plate. And the family allowed her to do it. And then when they hired Anne Sullivan, she was like, no, you're going to sit here. And at one point she tied Helen down to her chair, and the family thought that it was mean, whatever. But she's like, no, she's not an animal. She is a human being. She's capable of learning how to do this. And at one point, her mother, said, well, that's just how she is. But yet, if it weren't for Anne Sullivan, Helen Keller would not have become, a very prominent person in the deaf mute world. And she was respected, and she wrote books, and she gave lectures, whatever. So again, this is why I say, do you allow people to have their own way? Is it a pass just to say that's how they are?
No, like with anything, like scolding your children, teaching them right from wrong. That's how they learn to know what is right and what is wrong. Or it's just kind of Pavlov's conditioning and response. People sometimes, even way into their adulthood, they never really mature. So, I mean, I believe there's a way to handle it without degrading yourself and becoming like them, doing it the right way. So I definitely think, if you just, like, I'll give an issue, like with the trolls. Yeah, running a show and, saying it, ignoring them is fine, but still investigating who actually is doing it, getting to the bottom of it, and punishing them through, whether it's getting them banned or whatever. But it just depends upon the person. If it's just mild jabbing at one, but when they get down to, when they overstep their boundaries, there needs to be some action taken. That is for sure, because they're just going to keep doing it because they think it's funny, and then they think you might possibly be a weak person when you're not.
Well, for something like that, I can see where when you say that they overstepped. But do you think that there are people who overstep but truly don't think they're overstepping, and yet someone will and they will either say, well, that's just how I am, or that's just how they are? And I have said on occasion, that's just how I am. I mean, there are some things that I do not tolerate. There are some things that I do not put up with. And I've said, that's just me. Is that me giving myself a pass? So I just want to know, when people overstep, like I think people push you. And like you said, Shannon, some people may want to see if you're weak. But why are they really doing that? When it all comes down to it, is it people who just want their own way?
Well, the old saying, misery loves company. Whether they realize or not, there's something about their life that they're not happy with, and projecting on others who they may actually admire. But then at the same time, the negative aspect of that is they're actually either jealous or insecure because of their own life. So they're projecting themselves onto you or whoever they're doing it to. I just can't stand those kind of people who project themselves to try to tear themselves onto somebody else, to tear them down, because it makes them feel uh, like a puffed up turkey. We'll call that turkey in a flock. Stupid as can be, one of the stupidest birds on earth, but yet you'll see them, who can bow up the best, and the biggest. That means they have nothing in their life. So I guess that's the only thing that gives them that euphoric feeling. And they've probably been doing it all their life, probably don't even know any better. And a lot of times they don't even know what they're doing and think that it's not wrong. Oh, but boy, it is. That comes down to them being raised, environmental circumstance and environment. They probably most likely came from a parent who was like that, or a sibling, and they're emulating that same behavior. So all you can do is say your piece and try to get them out of your life.
Okay, now Frankie brings up a good point. Is it control? People who people who want their own way, and when you tend to say, that's just the way they are, whether you're talking about your mother, your father, your grandmother, grandfather, the the boss at work, whatever. Is it a control thing? Is it that those people like being in control, and you don't think that you can change them, or they're going to change, so you'll say that's just how they are?
Well, let me close the door here because I'm going to say something that might not go over very well in my household. I'll give you a prime example of that. Scott's mother. She is a wonderful, good-hearted woman, and the kind of woman that saves cats and neuters cats and spays them and does a great thing for her community and gives to charities, and is a wonderful, wonderful mother to her children. But she has always treated Scott's girlfriends like horribly. I mean, I guess thinks that they're taking her baby away, but when they're not. But she's just kind of a nag, and preaches to, don't smoke, don't do that. I'm not coming in that house unless, because you smoke, and, but that's just how she is. And because she's a good-hearted person, I just let it roll off me. I don't really care.
Okay. So you're letting it roll off of you, but by you saying that's just how she is, are you giving her a pass to be the way she is?
Her, I am. Every individual is different. It means how they attack you and what manner, and actually the type of person that they are in genuine and a whole. Because if it's just someone trying to attack you to hurt you, that's different.
But if I don't know how that person is, if I don't know how they are when they're not attacking, if she were to attack me and I don't know her, then it would be hurtful to me. So is that fair to me?
Exactly. So then you should lay into her, knock her out.
Okay, but if you're still giving her a pass, saying that's how she is, and that's allowing her to go out, among the masses and treat people however, but because that deep down she may be a nice person, then I mean, is that fair?
Well, she doesn't treat people like that. She's just kind of a nag. Well, it matters the degree of the abuse. And she's actually, the things that she does is actually for the better, like my health. Or she's saying, You need to study up, but it actually, in the end, it's actually truly better for my health. Then you have these people, like I used to have my neighbors who came and spray painted my house and put glue in my lock for no reason. I didn't even know these people. Those people, I'm going to put the hammer on. She's going to go to prison. So it matters the level of degree of the people who are more than being just rude to you. Different punishment for different behavior, and passes for some when you know their heart is genuine. They just don't know how to, doesn't think about what comes out of their mouth. Sometimes people don't have a filter, but they actually mean well. And then there's the people who are haters, who deserve to be kicked off Podbean.
Yes, you're right. But even when you say people who don't know better, I think they do.
They do. They do.
So I mean, I think they do know better. But once again, it's like, here it is. We're giving them that pass. We're giving them that automatic pass because you're saying, they don't know any better. I mean, I think a child knows better. A child knows when they're doing, right and wrong. So when you get to be an adult and, you say they don't know any better, they do. I mean, that's my opinion. So.
Yeah. But we also scold and punish children for their behavior. So, I mean, in different punishments for different levels of bad behavior. So, like you said, if it's not that great of like her nagging, it goes in one ear out the other, because she's in turn done a lot of kind things for me. And so, but like the neighbors, I said, I mean, it's if I could have, I'm not a violent person, but she pushed me to a point to where, believe me, if I thought I could get away with it, she would have several broken bones. I mean, you don't know what this chick did to me for no reason. She was one of the ones that was hired to harass me. So, like I said, there's different degrees, different levels, and people can only push you so far. But if it passes that point, I mean, if it's before that point, then it's not even worth your energy to, sometimes you got to let it go, because it's bad for you, yourself, and your own health and level of stress. And it just matters how great the act of behavior towards you is.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I say that there are people who are repeat offenders. There are people who do things just to get up under your skin. There are some people who are just plain mean. There are some people who I don't know, just giving that whole thing, that's just how they are. That's just an excuse to me that I just, I don't know. Bahram, welcome. What do you have to say?
I was just thinking about how I would answer this question, and I think the best way I can do is that it's up to ourselves what we accept as or our standards for the way that other people treat us. So, and I don't think it's up to us to judge other people's behaviors. So if another person is acting any way they wish, it's up to us to leave the room or take ourselves out of that. But I don't think it's up to us to judge them or reprimand them, or that whole saying that it's just how they are. It's being tolerant of them, which is on us. It's up to us to be either tolerant or not, but I don't think it's up to us to correct their behavior, unless obviously if you're the parent of, if it's the kid or whatever. I don't think we have any moral obligation to change their behavior. I don't know if that's helped any.
No, I mean, you make a good point. First, I want to say, Shy Lady and Pretty Deb, thank you very much for the pod beans. Ram, you make a good point, saying that it's not for us to judge and be tolerant. But
Mhm.
should we be tolerant of bad behavior? What about them? Again, are you giving them a pass because they're being rude, because they're saying things and doing things that they shouldn't say? And some people, like I said, they're repeat offenders. So how much do we have to be, and for how long do we have to be tolerant when where we should be able to flip it over to them and say, hey, you need to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that again comes down to, and that's why I love your show, because I'm coming out with a statement and then you're throwing a question back, and it's making me change, like have different feelings. Because if those acts are violent or affecting our lives or someone else's, then maybe we do have a moral obligation to step in. But I would probably need examples, and I think that's why I love your show so much, because we can go on about certain examples. But what I was thinking in my mind when I first, said my piece was, I'm talking about maybe sitting at a table for a meal and someone says something rude or misbehaves or throws a spoon off the table, something that's like little and petty that really is up to us to either ignore it or our standards of what we can accept and what we can't. So probably the next thing we should do is maybe explore what kind of examples that you're maybe thinking about that I'm not.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you an example. This is an example from my own family. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say any names. They may be listening to the show, but this particular person would behave a certain way. Ever since I met this particular person, they behaved a certain way. And one day this person said something to me and I gave pushback, and I continued to push back on this person. And then this person said that I had an attitude. And another person in this person's life said, no, they were saying that I did not have attitude. You finally are dealing with someone who's not going to take any of your shit. And when that person said that to this other person, they started to stop. They started to stop doing some of the things that they did, because I wasn't taking it. I see how you're treating everybody else and you want to come to me with that? It's not going to work. So again, it's like, do people, when you say that's how they are and you're being tolerant, are you giving them a pass to have their own way? Are you giving them a pass to be rude, even when people say things to you that are so out of line? Yes, like Shannon said, you walk away, you leave the room. I walked away and left the room on many occasions, but some people are repeat offenders. So how long do we have to be tolerant while they're doing something that they shouldn't?
Yeah, I suppose there's no real answer to that. Like, you put up with it for so long and eventually you snapped and you did the right thing. When it comes to someone like a friend, I'm sure, I don't know if that's a family member or a friend you're talking about, but I suppose it's lesser of a worry if it's a friend, because you can say your piece and correct their behavior. And if that friend doesn't wish to change, then the relationship's probably over, or best to be over. And that's what I meant by, like, your standard was that you let this person maybe make you feel horrible for a few days or a few weeks or months until you got to that point. And you were giving them a pass until you got to that point. And that's what it's probably all about, is circumstances and examples of where you can decide enough's enough, and also like what that person means to you would probably be the deciding factor of where the limit is. Yeah.
Okay. But Bahram, you brought up some points that I want to come back to, but I'm going to go to Crazy Lady. She's been waiting patiently. Crazy Lady, what do you want to add? conversation.
I don't know, rude is rude, you know, and the person knows when they're being rude. If you're just being rude, you know, yeah, just, you know, why be rude? You know, I don't, yeah, I don't like rude. I don't usually like people around that are rude.
So do you tend to give people passes, or like will you
No.
give them a pass one time and then okay, and then they do it again, then that's it? Or
Yeah, no, I tell them that they're being rude and that's their pass. And if they continue, you know, to be rude and obnoxious, then I don't hang out with people like that. You know, I don't like rude.
okay, so you guys are bringing up some, you know, good points, and you know, my okay, Crucible Man's on. So Crucible Man, say what you would like to add, and then I'll go back and say what I want to say. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I guess it depends on the nature of the relationship with this person who is being rude to you. And there's all kinds of reasons. People grow up different ways in different environments. They're talked to differently. And, that could be an explanation of that's just the way they are. That's how they grew up, and that's how their parents spoke to them or how their siblings spoke to them. But my mother said something to me a long time ago when I was, very young and, navigating my way through the world and friendships and things. And she would say, don't ever give somebody control over something with you that they haven't earned. So in other words, we can't control what people say to us all the time. Most of the time we can't. But we can control what we do about it, how we think about it, and how we feel about it. That's a lot more control than a lot of people are willing to concede. So when you're giving power or control to a rude person, and the whole repeat offender thing is foreign to me, because I'll give them once, maybe twice, and then we're done. I don't think you can fix rude. I don't believe it's possible to fix rude. You may chasten somebody in the short run. They may be embarrassed because they have no choice but to be embarrassed. But have you fixed their behavior? I don't believe that's possible. And so when you're allowing somebody to make you feel a certain way, you're giving them control they haven't earned. And we have a lot more power over those situations than we want to let on.
Okay. All right.
What?
So, okay. So this is what I want to say. Bahram said, some things about, if they're your family or friends, it may be easier to tell them whatever. And Petty Deb, I wanted to come back to what she said in one of her comments. She said, pick and choose your battles. And Shannon agreed with her. And Petty Deb said, some stuff not that serious. That all depends on the person it is intended to. And yes, that is true. But, when I say a repeat offender, again, people may not realize that they are repeat of offenders, but I've had people who have done things to me who are friends and family. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And you may let it pass, may not forgive, but you let it pass. Then they do it again. Oh, I'm sorry, whatever. Then they do it again. And that's what I mean by repeat offenders. Do you even realize that you're doing it? I personally think that they do. And when it comes to friends and family, I think it's even more shitty. Being tolerant, yes, you can be tolerant, whatever. And yes, you may have to earn something, but that goes both ways. I will be tolerant of you to a certain point. My tolerance may, again, lead me to leave the room. It may and a lot of times when I'm leaving the room, it's like I just want to get away from this person or get away from this situation or from this group of people. I've been in situations where I've just been in groups of people where, people are yelling and screaming, and I just leave. So again, are we giving them a pass? Um, I go back to how tolerant are we supposed to be when it should go back to them and they do need to be put in their place. Anybody?
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Even when it comes to family, like you said, the people we love are the ones who can hurt us the most. I'll give you an example of family and then versus someone you don't even know. My father, all my life, because I didn't have that bonding experience like my brother did with him, because I didn't know him. But since I was 14 on up, it's like he did everything to not encourage me and like, oh, Shannon, you're so pretty. You don't need college. You'll get by on your looks. And yet he paid for my brother's college. Oh, I'll always worry about him. This is why I got to pay. And I love him more than you. I mean, just stuff to just hurt me. And all my life, because he was that way with me, I would try to, when he said jump, I would jump how high. And then I finally grew up and says, I'm tired of you hurting me emotionally when all I've ever done is seek your love and your approval. I just can't have you in my life anymore. And I have not spoken to him since on purpose. And I feel so much better because he is not trying to belittle me or drag me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's some kind of competition because he knows how smart I am. I mean, I ended up going to college, putting myself through college and doubled their GPA, what they had, and he didn't pay a dime for it. And that's fine by me. And on the other hand, I'll give you an example like the other night. I'm not going to say whose show it was, but me and Solid were on another show. And this trio was belittling all the women on the panel. I mean, just dogging us. And then Solid came on and they started dogging her. I think they were women haters. And she got up there very eloquently and very tactfully and said her piece. And yes, she got on them. And you know what? They left and they did not come back because she asserted herself. And it was about control with these yahoos. And it was not directed towards her. It was directed towards all the women on that panel. So there are situations that you just have to be that way. And if it even means cutting some of your repeat offender family members, if it's bad for you and your health, you have to, say, look, we need some time apart until you can straighten up and treat me with respect, then you are out of my life.
And Shannon, you make a good point because there are people who I, in my own life, I put on timeout. It's like, okay, we've had this conversation before, you've done this to me enough, whatever. You're on timeout, and I don't talk to that person for a while. I've done it with family, and I've done it with friends. And it's like, I need to stay in my peaceful place. I don't need to listen to you. But I refuse to allow people to get a pass and just saying that's just how they are. So I was about to go to Bahram to ask you, what did you think? And you just popped up. So what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's something that Shannon said about like family not even getting a pass. It rings true with me, where I won't get into it, but I have a person in my family who is a repeat offender of always letting the family down and letting me down. And I've took them out of my life 5 or 6 years ago. And there are people in my family that feel maybe I'm being harsh, but in my mind, I think as a whole, as a society or as people, we're taught blood is thicker than water and family first and all that. But I don't see it that way. I see that if these people don't respect you just because they share the same blood as you, it doesn't give them any extra, chances or anything. And more importantly, with everyone in my life, I always say, look, if you're just there with open arms every time they mess up, they're never going to learn. So if I just open my arms up or phone this person and say, look, do you want to meet up for coffee? They've got off free. They know that they can do it again and again, and they will, and they have done, and it's proved so in the past. And I'm sure everyone has had experiences where someone's been like that, and that is why we need to have a, you know, it's something that I need to work on for sure, is to be less accepting of people being rude or whatever, and having stronger limits as to what I can take. So I think that's basically the underlying, like, to your question tonight, is giving people passes. It's all down to us. It's if we don't accept their behavior, then leave the room, or, you know, say your piece and leave the room, or whatever. It's all about our limits and what we can take.
Okay, very, very well said. Shy Lady, you just popped on. What would you like to say?
I want to say that I think that it's all about respect. I don't think that we should give people a pass for their behavior. I think that when people act out of character, or maybe some people are not acting out of character, maybe they just are, disrespectful people by nature. But I don't think that people should be given a pass because, they're just that way. I think that, and I know some people do give people passes because, they lost their mother when they were this age, or they had a tragic life. Those are excuses, and I know that some people do have issues, but when it comes to respect, I don't care what you've been through in your life. There's no reason for disrespect. There's just no reason for it. You should not disrespect people just because you feel some kind of way or you have this opinion. You should not disrespect people. Do we sometimes get into arguments with people? We don't agree with them? Yes, but we should respect a person's opinion, because opinions are not facts. They're usually just that, what a person feels or believes. So again, I think it's all about respect.
You make a very good point, and I want to come back to that, but I'm going to go to Crucible Man. Do you have anything to add? Crucible Man? I don't think he's here.
Sorry, I muted myself. Sorry.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to, I don't want to pile on here. I want to agree with Shy Lady and Bahram. I mean, it is about respect. And, you know, if you have people in your circle, family members are a little bit different. You can't really just get away from a family member. But, you know, it isn't just about tolerance. Control isn't just about tolerance. It can also be about abstinence. And that means you just abstain from spending any time with this person or these people, because it's clear you may not share the same values. And I think one of the most basic values we can have as human beings is how we treat others, whether it's another person, whether it's an animal, whatever it happens to be. That is the most basic of basics. And if you're not agreeing on how to even speak to one another, I don't know how you're ever going to navigate the more difficult things. So that's on such a basic level that if we can't even come to that kind of an agreement on the right way to speak to people, then I think you have to abstain from spending time around that person, because clearly tolerance isn't working.
Well, respect has come up a couple of times, and it's come up through what you guys have said on mic and what people are saying in the chat. And everyone doesn't respect everyone, and I disagree. I think that with family, you can get away from family. I mean, if you have a family where all of you all are always getting together and you go, then you'll never get away from them. But it is possible to get away from family. Believe me, it is possible, and millions of people do it all the time. But again, when it comes down to respect, a lot of people, they throw that word out, but they don't actually do it. Respecting someone is, you're respecting their opinion. You're respecting them as a person, and you're not talking down to them. And again, I come back to allowing, giving people this pass to have their own way. I know, and I've been around too many people who expect passes. And there are some people who expect passes just because of the color of their skin, just because of their title, at a job, just because they may be the head of the family. These people expect passes. And I think that's wrong. Anybody? Okay, Crucible Man says upbringing has a lot to do how people treat others. Yes, that is true. We are brought up, in different ways. Everyone, everyone's household is not the same. That is true. But at a certain point, you have to realize that maybe the way behavior in your household is not necessarily the way that you should still go out into the world and treat others. Crucible Man, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I agree with that. As far as how when I was growing up, and I grew up at a more during a more genteel time, in the 60s and 70s, and manners were a little bit different. People were a little bit more polite. Maybe I'm imagining that, but I think that there's some truth to that. But when we were growing up, and whether it was within our family, all the siblings, when we would be fighting or squabbling or something, or the times where we would have our friends over, and my mother would overhear something, and she would deal with it right on the spot, and she made it sound as if there's very few things as important as how you treat others, and how would you like to be treated that way. And it just got reinforced at every opportunity throughout the time we grew up, and she never let an opportunity to reinforce that go by. So we just grew up with this understanding that you just don't do that. And when your parents, and your mother in particular, is expressing such strong disapproval every time a particular instance happens, you become conditioned to understand that that is not acceptable behavior. And if your parents aren't correcting it at an early age and reminding you of the importance of how to treat others, there's a pretty decent chance you're not going to really absorb that concept as you get older. And it's like anything in life. If it's not corrected early on, it tends to get worse. So I think parents own a big chunk of how kids turn out into the world. Now, things can go wrong, and lives can change, and people can have bad luck, and they can get bitter and resentful, and maybe that changes their mood and their personality. I understand that. But by and large, I think, there's an old saying, I think, or everything I know I learned by the time I was 12. I'm probably botching that saying, but we get a lot of the building blocks of our lives when we're kids, and they stay with us if it's been instilled by our parents on a consistent basis.
Okay. I agree with some of that. But sometimes your parents can do things that are not nice. They can use words that are not nice. They can say things about people that are not nice, and you can carry, that over. Let's see. Somebody said something. Where is it? Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking for somebody who made a comment. I was looking for it. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Bahram. Well, actually, yeah, I am going to ask you this question, Bahram. Do you think that do you agree with Crucible Man? Do you think that upbringing has a lot to do how you become?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. when I did about 2 years of listening to philosophy shows and self improvement and peaceful parenting and things. And this guy, he's a famous podcaster. He's got thousands of shows, Stefan Molyneux, and he did these call-in shows once a month, and he would publish them as a podcast. And it could be a caller calling in about a relationship problem or a work problem or something, and he would take them back to their childhood and ask them questions. And it was so fascinating to hear, how we all become basically a mirror image of our parents. And even if we don't become a mirror image, we become accepting of what we've seen in our childhood, and we're more, accepting of those things in our adult lives. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with Crucible Man, and Shy Lady said a comment there as well. And it's hard to break out of that, and I think everyone needs to go on their journey to kind of realize it, because I've learned so much from those 2 years, and it's given me confidence and things that I wouldn't have thought I'd ever been able to do, by listening to this guy and realizing that the way I am is because of what I saw and what I was taught as a child from my parents and my peers.
Okay, all right. Well said. Shy Lady, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I find it even in my own marriage. We have 3 kids, and a lot of times, when we were bringing the kids up, they're almost grown. Well, 2 are grown and 1's 17. And a lot of times, when we didn't agree about something or we wanted to input something about how the kids should do this or that, my husband would go, well, this is how I was raised. And then I would go, well, this is how I was raised. And so we tend to take what we learned from our parents and institute that in our lives. And it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a good thing all the time. Sometimes it could be a bad thing. Sometimes we just need to get together and make our own way as to how we're going to, raise these kids. Maybe your parents' way wasn't that good. Maybe my parents' way wasn't that good. And I've even watched some of these shows, these house shows on TV. And a lot of times you'll see a couple come in to look at a place, and one couple will say, well, I don't like that style. I grew up in a colonial. I would prefer a colonial. I don't want that. And another person will say, I like the ranch style. So it's all about preferences, and it's a complex world we live in because we're complex as humans. So it's just a lot to it.
So, Shy Lady, do you find or can you see whether or not your children, especially the two oldest, since they're over 21, do you see them straying away from some of the things that you and your husband may have taught them, that they're doing things their own way as opposed to how you taught them to do it? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I do see it. I definitely do see it. And I see them also learning from my husband and I and our siblings, for the most part, not really close to the nieces and nephews of our siblings. Part of it because we've moved away from out of the state, where we were from. But then at the same time, you have people in the family who live in different states, and they're pretty close. So my children have said that they want to live around their siblings so that their children can grow up and be really tight cousins, like their brothers and sisters. So they want to make an effort to be like that.
Okay. All right. Shannon, what do you think?
Yes.
What Bob Lamb, Crucible, and Shy Lady, what they said.
All great, valid points, and I agree with them all. I do think I kind of keep giving examples. Kids emulate what they see, such as animals do, such as like a mockingbird, a parrot. The only words and vocabulary that they know are what they hear. And so they repeat it. And that is exactly what children, what other people, friends and family around you, they're conditioned to their own behavior because of the interaction that you've had with them in the past. But as far as children go, that absolutely the parent is everything of how they become what they become as an adult. It's called ever having not known. They don't know any better. They don't know any different. They've never had anybody there to teach them any different or to teach them that their bad behavior is wrong. So they're running around like a stupid bobblehead doing what their stupid mother or their stupid father did, the ones that don't have respect for themselves or others. So therefore, we're producing generations of ill-behaved children, like the woman across the street. Her daughter thought she thought it was all fun and games, and she's the one who came and put glue in my lock. So I mean, it's like this girl, and she's a pretty girl, and you would think, my God, she's going to end up pregnant just like her young age because she's letting her have boys over there. So I've seen her come out of the house with just hickeys all over her, and emulating smoking pot. And you are who you hang around. You're a carbon copy of your parents behavior wise, unless you somehow something gives you the strength to say, I don't want to emulate my parents. I don't want to be like that. But then I think that has to be, you got to have something else inside you that wants to be kind. And a lot of children, some have an intuition like me. Because I spent years, there were bouts of my past where I would go like 5, 6, 7 years and not speak to my father. And that was my way of telling him, look, I'm not putting up with the way you treat me. And then I kept letting him back into my life and letting him back into my, giving him the pass till I finally said, this is it. I'm emancipating myself from you forever. And you can't let them do that because then it's just hurting me or you. So, and you cannot, you expect your children are going to be exactly like you. Exactly.
It's interesting that you say that, Shannon, because I agree with what you're saying somewhat in terms of, you're going to be like your parents, and then I disagree. And again, I'm just looking at my own life.
There are some who get out of that conditioned mode that they realize, wow, I want to treat others the way I treat them, and I want to treat others this way. Therefore, I will act accordingly. So yeah, there is a percentage of people, not everyone, you'd be exactly like your parents, or else I would be exactly like my father. So, but there are people who do realize, and children, that that's just not a good way to be. You get more with sugar than you do vinegar.
Well, I mean, whether it's a positive or is a negative. You have, some people who, you can grow up in the same house. One kid grows up to be, head of a corporation, or, they're a senator, or not that all senators and people are good these days, but you have people who they are successful, and then their brother or sister, they're on drugs, they're robbing banks, they're hanging out with the wrong crowd, and like, well, we grew up in the same house. What happened?
It does seem like that usually that occurs, and like when you have 3 children, the middle person always has to feel like they're in competition with their older sibling. And their older sibling is usually the one who, well, as in the past, who probably didn't have the advantages as these younger siblings, because usually as parents get older, and they usually make more money as they get older. So they get a little more spoiled. So they feel like they can take advantage, or not even knowing they're taking advantage. But it's a competition between, and siblings are very, very competitive. But it's also having expectations of, well, am I going to achieve the goals of my older? And then that's where the insecurity comes in, and they supplement their happiness through drugs or alcohol.
Okay. Crucible Man, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I agree. You do have situations where siblings grew up in the same household and one turns out one way and one turns out another way. I don't want to necessarily lay the whole thing at broken homes and divorces and whatnot, but the divorce rate is a lot higher today than it probably was 50 years ago. But even accepting those examples where somebody goes off on the wrong path and somebody else becomes the president of a corporation, we all get out into the world eventually. We grow up in a very controlled environment in our houses and in our schools. And we're always taught the right and the wrong way to do things. And then when we get out in the world, when we're not being watched so closely, we get in with a new group of friends and, we may, slip into bullying or ganging up on somebody and, doing things that are inconsistent with what our parents raised us on. But at some point, if they did it correctly, you will keep hearing that voice in the back of your head, that kind of guiding force that says, this is not right. This was not how I was raised. So we all veer off when we're young, we're immature. We don't always treat everybody that happens and things, but we eventually come back around because we're grounded. We have that kind of guiding principles that our parents gave us. And we know deep down that when we're treating somebody a certain way, it was not how we were taught. And for a lot of us, it's a temporary thing. It's a growth phase. And we come out of it and we return back to the principles and the values we grew up on. But I do agree that you can get very different outcomes in the same household, depending on probably, the friendship group or the peer group each child, chose to associate with.
Okay. Well, I will disagree with the single family home and the broken home thing, because I think that you have people who are broken in two parent homes, whatever. But you know, my next question is, again, going back to that's just how they are, and an excuse for people to be rude. Um, why are people rude? Period. I mean, why are people rude? And I'm going to go to Shy Lady first. Shy Lady,
Hey,
you there?
hey. Um, Again, like I said, I think it depends on a person's upbringing. It could depend on their stage in life. They could be someone who's gone through the ranks of a company and somehow they have this superior attitude that because of who they are, that they can just say anything to anybody and they look down on people who are not on their level. So I think it's a lot of different variables involved on rudeness. And then again, it could be how a person was brought up as far as their household. Um, I'm sometimes in the store and I see parents allowing their kids to say anything to them, and it's rude behavior as a child. It's not cute. It's rude behavior, and pleading. Oh, come on, please. Will you please get in the cart? No, I don't want to. I'm not getting in that cart. It's like that's rude. If your mother told you to get in the cart because she doesn't want you in the aisle and you're 6 years old, why are you disagreeing with your mother? That's rude. And why are you allowing it? And you have this, and if you never correct it, that person is eventually going to grow up to be an asshole. And it's just the bottom line. And I agree with what Crucible Man said about the two parent household. You can go back and look at articles. Statistically, people who are and it's not the norm, because my husband grew up in a single family home and all of his siblings have done pretty well for themselves, but that's not the norm. The norm is statistically most people who have grown up in single family homes are not as well adjusted as people who were together in a home with both parents, and that's a home where there is no issue of a mom or dad having a substance abuse issue or alcoholism. It's just a generally normal family. Everybody has problems, but statistically, single parent kids from single parent homes they have a higher statistic for different kinds of behaviors than kids who grew up with both parents in the house. So I definitely get that. And you can, like I said, grow up in a household where you got a alcoholic dad who's there every day, and a mom who's drink as well, and your life could be messed up. But again, that's not the norm for most people either. But again, like I said, I think it's about how you're raised. Like I said, I see people all the time with kids who are just out of control, screaming at their mom, yelling. Same person one day is going to be an adult, and if that behavior isn't corrected, that's what you're going to have to deal with in the work world.
I understand what you're saying about the single family home thing, but the reason why I don't want to, and I really don't care what the stats say, whatever, because I think that you're stereotyping people and you're putting a stigma on them, and I think that is wrong, and I think it's almost to the point where if you do see someone who is a single parent, you're almost looking for well, that's why your child is this, or that's why you are that, and I don't like that. I don't like stereotypes. I don't like stereotypes because I grew up in a world where I was stereotyped. Period. Point blank. I don't like it. So I understand, about, you can say, well, the stats say this, whatever, but at the same time, you have people who grew up in 2-family homes who are messed up. They are messed up. You have people who grew up in 2-family homes who are very entitled. And because they're entitled, they are messed up. So I get what you're saying, and as Crucible Man says, it's not about stereotyping. It is about evidence. Well, yeah, okay, if that's what you want to say, but you're still putting a stigma on people. And to me, and this is just my opinion, you're putting a mark on someone's back because you're saying, just because I am a single parent, or I grew up in a single family household, that my life is better than yours, where in fact someone else's life may be better than theirs. So that's all I'm saying. People can say stats, whatever. Again, I think it is stereotyping, and it's just something that I don't like, and that's just my opinion. Shy Lady, you wanted to say something.
I just wanted to say that one day I was in church, and our pastor was talking about, he's Black. Our pastor was talking about he has a heart for the men, particularly Black men, because of the disadvantages that Black men have faced in America. And he has the congregation is more men than women, and his ministry is geared toward showing examples and having men involved, so that if they have children, they can raise their children without that stereotype, to be there, for their kids and so forth. And I just want to say that, there are, I don't, and I know what you're saying or whatever about statistics and things like that. And I'm Black, as you know, we're friends. and most of the people that I know that I grew up with grew up in 2-parent homes. The way I was raised, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and most of the kids, and I grew up in a predominantly Black neighborhood, most of the kids that I grew up with had 2-parent homes. It seems to me in this day and age, it seems to be straying away from two-parent family households, not just in terms of ethnicities, but different whites, Blacks. A lot of people are not getting married. It seems like it's particularly true in Hollywood. A lot of these people, and the certain family, the Kardashians, white family, none of them are married. They're having, except for Kim. She's the only one out of the group that actually got married and had kids. The rest of them are having children with men that they're not married to. So I don't see it so much as a thing with Black people. I see it all over. And a lot of times when you have people, when you don't have that mother and father in the same household, the kids, to me, they miss out on certain things. And yes, you can have people in the same household and you can have a lot of arguing of mom and dad, like I said, drinking, there could be cheating and the dad is just not around or the mom is not around. Yeah, you can have that, but it is, in my opinion, the case where most people that didn't grow up in that two-parent home, they've missed something. They've missed seeing the interaction of a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, how to treat each other. And that's why it's important for my husband and I to show our kids this is how a woman should be treated, a wife. This is how you talk to a woman. This is how a man should talk to his wife. This is how a woman should talk to her husband. Those things are all very important to me so that one day when they're ready to get married, they know what it looks like, what it feels like, how that, is my life perfect? No, but they should have like a positive example. And when you have a person who didn't grow up with that, dad's not around at all, there's a lot missing. There's a lot missing. There's a lot of men who haven't seen that man out there hustling and going in there and working 2 or 3 jobs to support their family. And all you see is mom. They have to me, like a different, they have a different idea of what a woman's role is, in my opinion. And they treat women differently. I've been involved with men who have come from single family homes when I was dating, and I see the difference in most of them that I've come in contact with. But again, like I said, I don't think it's just ethnicity and stereotyping. I think it's a trend around America. People are not getting married like they used to, whether they're Black, Latinos, whatever, they're white. They're just not getting married like they used to.
I understand what you're saying, and when I say stereotyping, I'm not talking about just stereotyping with Black people. Again, that was an assumption. I never said that. So it was an assumption that I was talking about Black people. I am talking about, just for me personally, I understand what you are saying. I'm just saying that I just don't like, you're putting this emphasis on people, and there are a lot of good single parents who are doing a damn good job raising their children. And yes, you do have that that interaction between the husband and wife, mother and father. But at the same time, there are millions of households where you have a 2-parent household where dad is kicking mom's butt. Where there's violence. So I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that there's good families with 2-parent households, and there are good families with single parents. Having said that, Mimi, you are connected, but I don't see you. So if you want to try to say something, you can come on, but I am not seeing you on my panel.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, there you are.
Okay. I don't know the topic.
Well, we've been talking about basically, well, first of all, I hope you feel better, because I know that you weren't feeling well yesterday.
Yeah.
But we're talking about, basically, the topic was, giving people an excuse to be rude when you say something like, that's just how they are. And then that evolved into people being rude and how they're raised, versus, if they're raised in a single parent household or with 2 parents. So that's kind of where we are now.
It's funny because I was just talking to my guy, and his friend, excuse me, I'm sick as a dog. But his friend was in the background and was like, "Oh, I know you're not on the phone with that bitch. Excuse my French." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Oh, that's just the way he talk." I said, "I don't give a damn the way he talk. Whether he talk like that to his girlfriend, his mother, whatever, he's not going to, talk like that to me." And I took it as, what kind of relationship do you guys have that he feel comfortable enough to even say this to you? You know what I mean? Like, how did he know how you feel about me? So for him to even address me as such to you, Like, that's just, I don't feel like he have enough respect for you. Not just me, but respect for you either. So yeah, I don't agree with, just because that person was raised a certain way or whatever. I believe people like that, even certain people that I know that disrespects other people. A friend of mine, I'm gonna give you guys another example, but another friend of mine, she smokes around her friend's mother, but I don't smoke, drink, curse around my mother, and I'm 29 years old. And she doesn't do it around me out of the respect for me. I think people treat you according to how you are, whether they like this or not. I think they will treat you accordingly, just like if somebody was, how could I put this? He got his pants sagging up and he's doing this and he's doing that. And he sees that you're a young lady, that you dressed up, you got your heels on, you got a nice blouse on, your hair did, you're dressed like you respect yourself. You're not out here in a fishnet shirt. He's not going to, just because he's a little thug, he's going to address you how you present yourself. That's, to me, I feel that way. Sorry I took so long.
No. That's fine. Anybody want to respond to that? I want to go to Bahram. You want to respond to what Mimi and Shy Lady said?
No, I mean, that was two good examples from Mimi. I don't. There's nothing here to disagree with. It's all like, again, I'll reiterate the point of it's up to us to accept other people's behaviours or not. What our standards are, these people have to meet them, and if they don't, then to me, it's best just to end the relationship and leave it be, because there's only people going to get hurt or upset and have your day upset by something like that, and it's not worth it. Life's too short. So and Shy Lady was spot on. I totally agree with what she was saying, and I mean, I could talk forever on the whole parent thing, and I think going back to your second question of the night about why are people rude, use the example of a child who would be parented well and taught respect. You're probably 99% sure that kid isn't going to grow up and be a rude person. So I think a lot of the problems that we have today in society stem from parents and the lack of parenting. I know it's a big problem probably all over the world, but certainly in what I see is a lot of kids being thrown iPads and phones and sat in front of the TVs and computers and not being taught like morals and how to behave and respect and all that good stuff. And now we're seeing these kids are growing up and there's issues in our world, to say the least. And I think it can all come back to parents, and there's probably a massive conversation to be had around what we can do to solve those things. But I would be open to having a conversation one day, certainly on my show, about looking at punishing parents. That might sound extreme, but like if your child goes out and smashes a window, maybe charging the parents $100 or whatever for, would that be a deterrent? Because it's up to the parents to teach the kids morals and how to behave up until they're 16 or 18. I don't know when they become adults, but that might be an extreme view, but there maybe is something in there that we could do. I don't know.
It's interesting that you say that, Bahram, because actually on Mimi's show, and briefly on my show, but on Mimi's show, we were talking about deterrence. If your child goes out and does something, are the parents responsible? And it was interesting because everyone had a lot of different opinions. So I'm going to go to Shannon. Shannon, you've been sitting and waiting patiently. You have anything you want to add? Oh, you're a super fan. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I've been
you.
busy.
Are you a super fan on Mimi's show?
Not yet, but I will 'cause I love Mimi. And
Okay, Mimi, I'm one up on you with Shannon. All right,
but
I'm sorry.
you're gonna have to go to someone else because I was typing and I'm like, I'm tired of not being a super fan. So I
Okay.
am now. I'll
Okay.
hit
Okay. Crucible Man, you want to say something?
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I echo what Bahram just said. We're going to encounter rude people throughout the course of our lives. Some of them don't know why they're rude. Some of them may know why they're rude, but they can't fix it. And to the extent that we can help those people, we should. I'm on record as saying I don't think it's really fixable, but we have control over these situations, and we can abstain from spending time with these people. We have power over our situations when people aren't treating us respectfully. So I think we give as good as we get. We've got to remember that. We can't just be always on the receiving end of good manners. And I think if you show yourself to be a good steward of good manners and you treat people correctly, it will come back to you. And when it doesn't, you move on.
Okay. All right. All right. So, guys, once again, we've talked about a lot on this show, and there is one last question that I want to ask. And hold on one second because I wrote it down. Okay. Holding people to the same standards that we hold ourselves. So again, just tying up the whole thing. That's just how they are. Should we hold people to the same standards, and should we expect people to be held to the same standards that we hold ourselves? And I'm going to start with Shannon.
That's a very good question. Well, that's a yes and no question because we all have different types of friends and family. They all have different personalities. They all have different education levels, and they were all raised in different environments. So I do believe we should, in a perfect world, expect them to treat us like we treat them. That's just not how it is. Like you said, everybody has that learned behavior, and some people just don't get it. They don't get that it's harder to be cruel than it is to be kind. And they get more in return if they just reciprocated the kindness. Imagine if everybody in the world, so you were like the kindest, and I'm not saying you're weak by being kind, it's infectious. Just like mob behavior is infectious as well. People tend to jump on a bandwagon when they're like in a group of people, or like, oh, I will feel bad if everybody's treating this person bad. So I'm going to, even though it goes against their grain and the nature of who they are, because some people are just idiots and you just cannot be helped. All I know is in my life where I've had such a hard time in the last decade that I will surround myself with nothing but genuine and kind people, and I won't tolerate any less because I am tired of giving the pass, and I'm done. And if that means getting rid of every single one of the people that I care about and love, so be it. I will meet people who are just as kind and generous as I am. I'd rather be alone than put up with anything that's going to harm me emotionally or my physical health.
Okay, well said. Shy Lady?
I
Shy
agree.
Lady?
I agree
Okay.
totally with Shannon. Everything she said, I agree with in terms of people, because people, we would want people to act in a civil and moral way, but it's just not the real world. We can't expect that. We can't have expectations on people. So we have to, if they're going to be in our life, family or whatever, or friends, We can accept them or not. So, unfortunately, it's not a perfect world, and I think that we shouldn't have expectations.
Okay. Petty Deb says I'm assuming you're saying your expectations will let you down every time. And then you say we are all raised differently. Kindness is not a weakness. However, so people try to take advantage of a situation. Okay. Bahram,
I'm
do you
kind
think we
of
should do you think we should hold people to the same standards?
Yeah, I'm kind of battling with two answers to that one. It's like we should, because obviously with less stress and would have a more perfect life, if that's even a thing. But at the same time, I think if everyone was, perfect standards and we held ourselves to a high standards, I think life would be pretty boring. I'm maybe a bit more lenient than the rest of you guys or whatever, but I think sometimes flaws and things are quite, it's not just, what I'm trying to say, like everyone's different, everyone has their, but as long as they're not harmful to anyone, I think that's where I definitely do draw the line, is if anyone's behavior affects my mood in any way other than what I want it to be, then I just leave it. I walk away, or like they're not getting to make my day any better, any less good than what I want it to be. So I think that's my answer.
Okay. Crucible Man?
I think we should try to hold each other to the same standard. I mean, we're not all created equal, as Bahram said, and I think something as so you may not be as smart as I am. I may not be as good looking as you are. I may not have a musical talent that you have. I mean, so we're all coming up in different statures in life, but rudeness and being polite and treating somebody with respect, those are not standards that are beyond the reach of most people. So I think from that standpoint, when it comes to the topic of the show, rudeness, being polite, showing respect, yes, I think we should all be on the same page and have the same standards. There's plenty of other things we're going to disagree on and not see eye to eye on, but how people are treated is a basic level of human communication and decency, and we should all be on the same page when it comes to that.
Okay. Mimi?
I think that when we hold other people, when we have expectations from other people, we kind of hold them responsible for our happiness. So and everybody, and I think Shannon said this, everybody has their own personality. Everybody is unique in their own way. So when you're holding somebody at an expectation, it's almost like you're expecting them to be a certain type of way in order to satisfy you. And that's just not realistic. And like she said again, we all have had different experiences, and we all went through different things. And sometimes when you meet a person, they're in your life to teach you a lesson. And that lesson may be to help them grow. So if you're holding them at a certain expectation and they never experience the things that you experienced, then it's inevitable. You're not going to get that from them. So yeah, that's my response.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up, but you guys, once again, you guys always just everyone has different opinions, and I think that's great. And I like the fact that we can disagree, we can agree to disagree, or agree to agree, whatever. But I want to go around the room one more time. Does anyone have any last comments, words of wisdom? Put in your 5, 6, 10 cents, 12 cents, $1.50. Anybody? Shannon?
Love yourself, love others, and goodness will come back to you because it is infectious, like I said. And until next time, entertain your own damn self.
And Bahram, you have any words of wisdom? Anything you want to say? To take us out.
No, just thanks as always. I love your show, and it's always great to come on and challenge your own thoughts and views, and that's something this show doesn't fail to do. So, thanks, Solid Blue, and I hope everyone has a good week. And yeah, that's it.
All right, and Bahram, I will say I love your tweets to me. I love that we disagree on that, but I love your tweets.
As long as we're respectful, you'll always get that with me. I know me and you probably are at the opposite ends of the political spectrum, but as long as I'm always respectful, and as long as you know that, I want you to know that I'm never purposely mean or anything. It's just I love your questioning. When you get on a roll of asking people questions like you have done on Doomsday, I heard you do it. Like, you asked a question, you followed it up with another one that made that person question their original answer, and I think it's a work of art. I think it's really good. So yeah, continue what you're doing. It's good to have you on the app Podbean.
Okay, well, thank you. Crucible Man.
Yes, once again, I am echoing Bahram. Always good food for thought on the Solid Blue show. Never fails to disappoint. Not fails to disappoint, never disappoints. And I would just close with, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it may not always work, but I'm guessing you'll come out ahead most of the time.
Okay. Mimi, you have any last words of wisdom?
Thank you for having me. I love you, girl, and I love your show. And then I just have to follow up, like Crucible Man said, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Don't expect nothing from nobody, because you're going to let yourself down every time.
Well, Mimi, thank you for joining. And again, Shannon became my super fan before you. So I had to throw that in. I had to throw that in there.
I love you too.
I've been a super fan.
No, I mean, but she was a super fan on my show before she became your super fan on your show.
That's what I'm talking. Oh, no. Oh, no, Shannon.
I love you both. Oh, my God.
I love you too, Shannon.
Okay. Shy lady, your last $1.50. What do you want to say?
In the words of Mavis Staple, respect yourself.
Oh.
Respect yourself. Yes. Well, guys, again, this show does not work without you. And I want to say, shout outs to Frankie, Shy Lady, Petty Deb, and Shannon for giving me Podbeans today, and to everyone for giving me likes. I do want to say that Shannon, her show yesterday, guys, if you are not listening to Monday Night Blues, whatever, her show yesterday was fantastic. And you had me chilling with a glass of wine. I just sat back and listened to the music. Shannon, it was the bomb. So
Thank you so much.
You did a really good job. Mimi, you have a show tonight. Are you going to be broadcasting tonight?
I've been debating, but I think I'm gonna still go. I just have to take me some Benadryl and sleep this off really quick and keep going.
Well, for everyone, Mimi has a great show on Tuesdays and Sunday nights. You guys need to join in because it is live. It is live and lively. So you guys want to definitely join in on Mimi's show. But everyone, again, this show does not work without you. And, again, Mimi, Shiley wants to know, what is the topic?
Should a man be reimbursed for child support that he paid over the years after finding out that he was not the father?
That's going to get a lot of
I'll be starting stuff.
Yeah, you do start stuff on your show. Well, I will definitely be there. So again, everyone, thank you so much for coming. Speak your truth. Go where the wind takes you. I'm Solid Blue Sister. I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. And Mimi, Shiley wants to know what time is your show. Okay, 10 p.m. Central. So Shiley, that's you. You guys are on the same time thingy.
Great show. Bravo.
Well, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have a show. So
You
thank
make
you.
it so easy.
And Bahram, thank you so much
Love
for tuning in. I always love it when you pop in. So Mimi, yeah, you are going to have to get some sleep because with your topic, you may have to referee. And Frankie, oh, you know what? Hold on. I have to say something. I talked to Frankie briefly last night, and you guys know her situation, and I am going to try to do a show with her. However, more than likely, she will have an interpreter with her. She has a very powerful story. And she is, when you talk about a super fan, I mean, Frankie on my show, she's up to 14,489 likes. But she has a story to tell and it's emotional. I hope I don't cry like I did before when I was telling you guys last week. But we are trying to get a show together with Frankie where she will be able to talk some. She can not talk she is partially mute, whatever. But she has a story to tell, and she's trying to get someone who will interpret for her if she cannot speak the entire time. So that is what I wanted to add. So Frankie, I apologize for not adding that before. And I will continue on with my goodbye music.
Want to dance?
Shannon, your show, I'm telling you, last night I was literally just chilling. It was good. It was really good.
Thank you so much. And you stayed all the way through, and I appreciate that so much.
Of course.
And I will definitely email you in a few.
Okay, all right. Although I think you should do more than just Sunday nights. I'm sorry, more than just Monday nights.
Well, I'm thinking about having a rock and roll, having Monday blues and then a rock and roll on Thursday.
Okay,
like
well, the rock and roll that you did last week, it was good. So yeah.
You like that type of music?
Yes,
You like that?
yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Well, then,
so.
I listen to you. I don't listen to too many people, but I listen to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, on that note, y'all, I'll see you later and have a good afternoon. Bye.
Love you, Solid.
Thank you.